So hi everyone, Touch Rice here, and today I'll be building this binary quiz app, right? Where you basically, let's quickly share my screen. So I'll be building this binary quiz app because I'm teaching binary to one of my students, and I want to have a quiz where the computer, right? The computer will generate a random binary string, let's say 1001, and then the user would have to type in. It'll be a quiz for the user to convert this into binary, right? And yeah, so that's the basic function, right? Then perhaps on the other hand, right, the computer can also generate the decimal number, and the user needs to input the correct binary string in order to, let's say, increase a score. So I don't really have a layout in mind at the moment, but let's just try to freeball it. Yeah. So okay, so I'm in this tutorial, I mean, not really tutorial, in this live coding demo, I'm going to do it using Anvil, right? So because I'm quite familiar with Anvil and it's enough for my purposes. So we have gone ahead and created a quiz, I mean a template. We have gone ahead and created an app, right? And this is a blank app right now. So let's just think about so let's go ahead and, okay, so let's drag and drop a headline element. So I'm not the best at design. So yeah, it will probably look quite bad, but let's just give it a try. So let's call it binary quiz. And yeah, so the link, I don't think I'll need a link. And let's drop a, okay, so we'll have one field, right? I'm thinking that we have one field for the the computer generated thing. So let's go ahead and make that let's make that maybe I can make that rich text. Okay, so if I have the computer, so let's have the thing say convert something to binary, right? And yeah, so that's the rich text. Maybe I want to make the font a bit bigger. So text, I'm not sure where that is under. Appearance, okay, rich text. Okay, I'm not sure if there's a font size in. Okay, but let's not bother too much with with the with the prettiness of it. So this is our display message, right? Yeah, so this is where we put the questions. Okay, and yeah, so let's go ahead and label this the question, right? And then we will now need to drag in a field, right, for the user's answer. So okay, so instead of just having a field here, right, I want the user to know that they need to type it in. So maybe if I can do this and I can draw, okay, I'm trying to put it side by side. I'm thinking of trying to put it side by side. Let me see if that's possible. So there's a few options here. Maybe I put a column panel, then I drag rich text inside the column panel, and then let's see if I can drag this over here. Yep, awesome. So yeah, that's very good. So let's go ahead. So the question is this, and then the answer, right? So type so over here I'll say type your answer. So over here I have a column panel, right? And inside the column panel I have two fields, two components. One is this thing that is just gonna not change, and the other one is this text box where the user is gonna put in the answer. So yeah, so the placeholder, let's just say type what is the answer. Okay, so yeah, so then let's have a button to check, right? Let's have a button to submit. Okay, so this is going to be called the submit button, and the button, where can I, so under the button text, right? Let's change that to text answer. Okay, so yeah, okay, so after that, let's have a score for the user. So there'll be another rich text, right? And let's call this score. So yeah, okay, so then under content, right, it says your score is currently, and then that's just the default value is just 0. Okay, then finally, yeah, so that's that. Okay, and with that done, we have the rough layout going. Maybe I can have another button down here saying change mode. Right, this button is called change mode because I want the user to be able to switch between binary and decimal. So switch mode, switch question mode. Okay, so this button would allow the user to change from converting decimal to binary to converting binary to decimal. Okay, so with that we have enough components to start coding. So yeah, so let's go over to the code component. Right, okay, so this one is called change mode. So yeah, so so now we over here we see, right, if you're familiar with object-oriented programming, right, we see that the form is represented by a class, right, and the components, right, can be accessed by self dot the component number, the component name. So in this case, let's say the variable, just now we named our button change mode and access the button using self dot change mode, right? If we want to access the score, we can access this self dot score. So yeah, and then let's say self dot score, we want to change the content to something else. We can set self dot score dot content equals to whatever we want. Okay, so yeah, the first thing will be to okay, so what's the pipeline that we want to follow? So the first thing that we want to implement is the generation of uh, random number. Okay, so we're gonna need random, right? So import random. So perhaps over here, right? We can have the question generated. Okay, so let's think about how we want to do this. Okay, so I'm going to create a okay, so I'm going to create a function. Okay, so when the user clicks check the answer, right, then we're going to need to add a on click handler. So we click on the check answer button, right? You see that this is the submit button, self.submit, and we scroll down all the way to this events. We go to this click, right? We click the blue button over here. We see that it creates a on click handler. So when this button is clicked, we're going to want to generate a random number. So let's just call the random number random, right? And there'll be rand int. And in this case, rand in, let's generate a random number between, let's say 5 and what's a nice number? Let's say 32. Okay. So then after that, we are going to set the question to that part. So to that number. So instead of writing convert something to binary, right? It'll be convert. So it'll be so let's how do we set the text in this question rich text? We'll do so by calling self.question, right? Dot text dot content. So self.question refers to the question field, right? Self.question dot content equals to let's use a formatted string. So question convert random, right? The random number that we generated to binary, from decimal to binary. Okay, and yeah, and actually that so when you click the button, it's going to generate. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in a function. Yeah, so let's go and put this in a function called generate question. Okay, so let's put this there. And now when you submit the click, right, so when we first start up the app, we want to generate a question. So we write self.gen question Then when you submit a click, you need to check whether it's correct, whether the user's input is correct or not. So let's do some checks, right? So we'll do some checking, right? That's on our to-do list, and then after that, we'll generate the question. Okay, so with that, yeah, so let's go ahead and test run this first. Okay, so it says convert 18 from decimal to binary. If I click the check answer button, you see that it generates a new number each time, right? But then currently there's no response to if we type anything in. So not yet. Okay, so now we can generate questions ready. Now let's check if the user's input is correct. So when the button is clicked, then we want to check if the user's input, right? So let's change it to user, let's just change it to answer. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay, I realized that okay, so I realized that I need to add in a new component, right? Let's add it in between over here and call it correct answer, right? To feedback the user on the correct answer. So over here, okay, so over here, okay, so let's read in the user's input. To read in the user's input, we go to self.answer. So self.answer dot text. Okay, so this is whatever the user's input is, right? And we want to convert it into a binary. Because we're converting the binary, right? We want to convert it to an integer first. So yeah, so let's try to convert it to an integer first, right? Otherwise, if it fails, then we need to tell the user to input a valid number. So okay, so let's try this. Then from here, let me think. Okay, so after we converted the integer, let's search Python check with, okay, never mind about that. Okay, so if the character, okay, so let's look through the string, right? For I and self dot answer dot text, if I not equals to the character 0 or the character 1, right? Then let's raise an exception. So how do you raise an exception in Python, right? I think it should be just raise exception. So we want to raise an exception, Python raise exception, yeah, this thing. So raise exception. Yeah, let's raise an exception so that it goes over here. Yeah, and otherwise we try to convert it to integer. If that doesn't work, then we also raise an exception. So let's do this. Oh, no, user input equal to that. So otherwise, right, we self dot correct. Okay, so this is more of the feedback. So let's for this self dot feedback, and then we need to go back over here to change this from correct answer to feedback, because it might not just be displaying the correct answer. So the name is a bit misleading. So self dot feedback equals to you did not input a valid binary string, and consist of binary strings consist of only zeros and ones. Okay, so that should be quite clear enough. Then yeah, so if that is that, then we return immediately because we don't want to generate a new question by accident. Okay, otherwise, right, then our user input otherwise if user input goes to, wait, hold on. Hold on a minute. convert it to binary. Yeah, so we want to convert it to binary. So if the user input equals to okay, so to convert a number to binary, okay, so over here I think we should make this a random should belong to the class, right? So let's just say that I'm going to make the random variable belong to the object, right? So that I can access it over here. So yeah, so if so how do we convert uh a integer to binary in Python? So Python convert into binary string. So that should be just simple enough like this. So we just get rid of so we just do bin the number, right, and then 2 colon to splice it. So if we bin, so um mm, yeah, okay, so I can do bin, right, self dot random with the random number, and then I crop it from index 2 onwards. So if the user's input is correct, right, this is the correct answer, and self dot feedback equals to the formatted string, user input is correct, good job. Okay, then the score will increment by 1, but let's worry about that later. Otherwise, right, the user's feedback is user input is wrong. The correct answer is self.random. Okay, not quite. The correct answer is self.random converted to binary string. Right. Yeah. Yeah, right. Let's just write it's okay. Try again. Okay, and then close the string. So yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and test it. Okay, so convert 8 from decimal to binary. Let's write a wrong answer. Okay, we have an error. So that's okay. Self dot feedback is doesn't exist. Why doesn't it exist? Doesn't self dot feedback this thing over here? Um, there is already a component with this name. Where's the self dot feedback? So if I go to this part, self dot feedback. Ah, okay. So I need to write dot content. Okay, so that should be the error. Right, let's go ahead and run it again. So what's the answer? 1, you did not input valid binary strings. Something is wrong, right? Yeah, something is wrong. So why does it say that? I know why. It's because this could be an n-line character, I think. Okay, maybe to make it clearer, I just need to print I, right? And yeah, let's just try that out. Let's print the representation of R out of I. So representation just helps me debug it a little bit easier. So I have an output. Oh, it seems to be if I is not equals to 1. Oh, this would be n, right? Oops. Yeah, silly mistake. Okay, so we have some sort of feedback now. So convert 12 from decimal to binary. So what is 12 from decimal to binary? It's 1 1 0 0, right? Let's try. Okay, something is fishy here again. And the answer is correct, right? But it says we are wrong. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that. Okay, so over here, clearly these two, they should be the same. Right, okay, so let's go ahead and print. Let's go ahead and print this and print user input as well. And if it, maybe to be even better, we can print the representation of both. Ah, I see, I see. Okay, user input is in an integer. Um, mm, yeah, I think there's no need to set it to integer, but we can just keep it as a string. Because this is the part that catches, this part will catch it if it consists of ones and zeros, if it consists of like digits as well. So yeah, okay, so I actually, if I comment this out, then it should be working. So I don't need this anymore. Let's go ahead and run. Okay, so press 1 is wrong. Okay. Okay, so convert 13 from decimal to binary. So that would be 8 plus 3. So there'll be this. Okay, I made a, that was me, that was on me, right? 13 is not 8 plus 3. So 7, right? 7 to binary, that's 111. Ah, correct. We got the correct answer. So 12 would be equal to 16 plus 5. 16 plus 5 would be this. Yeah, and in fact it's correct. Okay, so that's great. So the answer tracking mechanism is working, right? And yeah, so okay, so if the user's input is correct, then we want to increment the score. So self dot uh, um, self dot score. Okay, I shouldn't label this self dot score. I should label this self dot score display. Okay, and so I can safely say self dot score plus equals to 1. And then over here, right, when I initialize, I'll need to initialize self.score equals to 0. Okay, then otherwise, when the input is wrong, we don't increment the score. So yeah, then after so after the user answers, right, let's call update score function, right? Let's call the update score function. And the update score function will be a function that we define saying update score, and that will be setting self.score display equals to self.score display dot content equals to f, the formatted string, and what's the format? So your score is currently colon. Your score is currently colon self.score. All right. Okay. So that's great. Yeah. Sure. So if you go ahead and press run, okay. So convert it from decimal to binary. So let's do this. Aha, we get 1. Okay, then if we convert 12 from decimal to binary, okay, so one next thing we need to do is to set this as equals to the blank string so that people don't have to keep on clearing it themselves. So let's check answer is correct. Then if we type in any other thing, you say we did not input a valid binary string. Right, if we type in a blank string, right, it will actually be okay, so we don't really want the user to do that, or maybe we can keep that as a feature for the user to skip the question. Right, so maybe just let's go and put it in the code. Right, so if you press check answer, right, without anything, so if self.answer.text equals to the blank string, equals to the blank string, then okay, actually not dot strip, it's actually dot replace all the characters with the blank string, then we say then we generate new question. So self dot feedback dot content equals to skipped question. Then we self.gen a new question. Yeah, and that'll be okay. So yeah, so okay, so after the users input something, right? If the users input whether it was valid or not, we want to clear it. So okay, so after this we return, and so over here we've set self the users answer dot text equals to blank. But we need to do that only after we have successfully stored the user's input. So let's go ahead and move this up over here. So user input equals to self.answer.text. Then if this, we change all instances of self.answer.text equals to user input. And yeah, okay, so yeah, that would be good. Okay, so then this can be removed. Okay, and maybe this can be moved up here. Just cleaning up the code a little bit like this. Yeah, okay, sure. So let's go ahead and run this. Then now 31, that's a big one. So it's just 11111. Okay, correct. Then if you guess something, you'll say we do not guess a valid binary string. We press check answer without a, you'll say skip question, right? If we convert 14, so how do we convert 14 to binary? If 8 plus 4 plus 2, right? 8 plus 4 plus 2. Okay, and it's correct. So yeah, so on top of that, I also want to add if I click the enter, right? So once if I press enter, then I also want to call the self dot submit click function. Okay. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, so okay, and after that, we want to bring it into focus. Right. So we want to bring it into focus. So yeah, so if we run this, let's see if it works. So convert 22 to binary. There'll be uh there'll be 16, right? Plus 16 plus 4 plus 2. Okay, and great. So you can press enter now, and instead of pressing this check answer button. So you can imagine that this will be useful for if we if we're doing it on a computer, right? But the check answer button will be more useful if we do it on the phone. Okay, great. Okay, and let's just say we update the score. If if the score, right? If self.score is greater than 10, right? Then self.score display dot content equals to good dot. So on top of saying your score is currently dead, right? You say good job. So we can do this. Right. And we can do it for a bunch of other. So if let's say the score is 20, right? Then we say, wow, amazing. Okay, and let's just change this to 1 for debugging purposes. So at score 0, right? At score 0, it says that with 15 is 1111. Okay, yeah, in fact, we see that. Okay, great. So we have some feedback. Okay, and now let's go ahead and do the changing mode one. So what if I press a button to change the mode, right? So switch question mode. And let's add on click for that. Right, so let's write self dot binary mode equals to false. So okay, no, actually we want to toggle, right? So equals to not of itself. Not of itself. So initially, self.binary mode equals to true, right? Meaning that we want to, the quiz is in a binary mode. We want to quiz the user on converting a decimal to a binary. Then if binary mode was false, then we're quizzing the user on converting binary to decimal. Okay, so that would mean that we need to change some of the logic in the submit click button, in the submit click handler, right? So yeah, so where's the logic that we need to change, right? It will be over here. Okay, so okay, so I'm thinking of whether I should make it. Okay, let's just do it the lazy way and do the whole thing in self.binary mode. Self.binary mode, then we do all of this, right? If self.binary mode, then we do all of this. Okay, then otherwise, right? Otherwise, if it's not in the binary mode, then we do something else. So what's the something else? There'll be another quiz. That'll be converting from, yeah, that'll be converting the other way. So, uh, so let's go ahead and copy this and paste this in here. Almost similar, just that, so you can write this. You did not input a valid integer. Integers, yeah. So I can just remove this part because I suppose the user knows what an integer is. So instead of this, I can just check if so I can just try int of the user input. Okay, so if it doesn't convert, then it will go into this accept part. Okay, yeah, so that's that user input. Okay, so if it is, so if the user input is equals to the self dot, so now we can do this, right? So if the user input is not, so if the integer of convert the user input is not equals to self dot random, then we say if it's equal to self dot random, then it's correct, and so on. Otherwise, you print the correct answer, it will be self dot rand. Yeah, so just that. Okay. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Another thing, right, is besides handling the click, right, we also need to handle the generate question. So if self.binary mode, right, then we generate a binary question, right? So it will be this question. Otherwise, we generate a random number as well, right? But just that it is now instead of the question being that, we ask the user to convert whatever we generated to question is convert this thing, right? So we can all convert it to binary. So we can do this and do prolong this from binary to decimal. Okay, so let's give that a try. I think that should be all. Okay, and we have error. So self.binary mode, no such attribute. So at line 17, that's a bit weird. Self.binary mode doesn't exist. Because we didn't set it. So we need to generate the question only after all that. Yep. So let's go ahead and try it out. So convert 25 from decimal to binary. That's the default. So 25. So that's quite hard. Let's just skip the question. Let's find an easy question. 9. 9 is quite easy one. 1001. We got correct. Then let's switch the question mode. Oh, okay. So when we switch the question mode, it didn't it didn't update the thing immediately. So let's change that a little bit. We just need to call the self dot gen question function. So this will be if we type a wrong answer, right, that's wrong. But if we type a correct answer, let's look for an easy one. Okay, so that would be 12, right? 12 is correct. So yeah, so we can do this. So, so that would be 15 minus 4, that gives you 11. So yeah, we've created a binary quiz. And the last thing to do is after you change the mode, right, you need to generate the questions again. Right, generate the questions. Yeah, and so if not, then that's about it, right, for this quiz. Yeah, so then let's test it out a little bit more. This question mode. Okay, seems pretty good. Yeah, so maybe as an added functionality, I can indicate, let the user change the range, but yeah, but I'll leave that for another time. So in this case, they're just generating numbers between um between 5 and 32. So that's quite reasonable, I guess. Yeah, so if not, then that's all for this quiz, right? I think I'm done. So the link will be in the description if you are interested to play this quiz. So if not, that's all for today's video, I guess. So yeah, thanks for attending, seeing me code live. Bye.